Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I will be talking about CSS backgrounds. But before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Okay, so let's get started. So to get started on CSS, we will be using w3schools.com, same website we have been using so far in this course, and we're going to go directly to CSS backgrounds. We're going to start by background colors. But first, let's talk a bit about backgrounds. What is a background? Well, a background, it's typically the image or the color that is displayed into your website at the background of the site itself, okay? So that's what a background is. Now on CSS, backgrounds have different properties and they're being used by define the background effects for each element. Okay, so in the following video, we are going to be discussing 5 properties: the background color, background image, background repeat, background attach, and background position. As well, we're going to be talking a little bit about background shorthand. So let's get started first with background color. In our previous chapter, we discussed a bit about background colors, so you can go ahead and actually go to our previous chapter if you do not know much about colors and how to use them. Okay, so the background color property specifies the background color of an element. That's pretty self-explanatory. So it just tells our CSS code what's going to be the color of our background, right? And we can go ahead and we can change that using different type of colors. So let's go ahead and take a look in how we can apply different background colors. So let's go to our code. I am going to leave all the selectors for H1, H2, and the P elements. And we're going to apply the background. So the background color property is being set as background hyphen color. And then you go ahead and you set up the color that you want your background to be. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing we want to say to this file is that we want our background color. Let's do this gray. Why not? Okay, so we want this background color gray for all H1 elements. Oh, but before we do that, let me just save this and I'm going to refresh. Okay, so right now everything is empty. So to apply background colors, again, we go ahead and we're going to use the background color property, and we are going to say that we want all H1 backgrounds to be gray. Now to our H2, well, before we go into H2, let's take a look and see how the H1 look like. There you go. So all backgrounds are gray. Now for H2, let's go ahead and let's set up a background color of green. Okay, and we're going to save this, refresh, and now all H2 tags has a green background. And finally, for our P tags, we're going to use a background color, and let's do an RGB. And, well, not an RGBA, but actually an RGB. And what we want to say to this is that we want this to be blue. So let's use the following values. So 0, 0, and then 255 for blue, right? So let's save this information, and now we're gonna hit refresh, and there you go. All P elements are now with a background of blue. Perfect. So now you know how to add a background color into your CSS sheet. So as well, you can also add a property to the background, which is called opacity. We saw this property in our previous chapter. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, feel free to visit my previous chapter. I will leave a link in the description of this video as well. We're going to move on to the following property, which is the background image. Okay, so let's click on that. background image. So the background image property specifies an image to use at the background of an element. By default, the image is repeated, so it covers the entire element. So this means that if we select an image, it's going to repeat over and over again during the entire background of that element. So let's see here the example that W3 School set for us. So if we hit here, try ourselves, you see, so this is an example of a background image. So we're going to try to do that. We're actually going to do this in our code. I already have downloaded here an image for our background. And what I'm going to do is that in our CSS folder, I am going to create a new folder and I am going to name it images. And then inside of this folder, I am going to add the image that I downloaded previously. Okay, so now we have an image here, and actually I'm going to add this other image that I put here, and I'll just name it LT because it's the Looney Tunes. So anyways, I already put those two images, and I'm going to go to my code here, and I am going to delete all the background color that we have set before for the previous property, because now I want you guys to see how the image looks like. And in fact, I want to do this for the entire style sheet so that you can see how it looks like. So we're going to apply this to the entire document. We're going to use an asterisk, and then we are going to open our CSS syntax. So we're going to use the background image in here, right? And to add an image, we need to use URL, and then we have to input the location of the image inside of our local files, right? So we're going to set URL, and then this is located under our images folder. So I will say to our URL that is inside of images dash, and then you see it gives me two options, LT and pic. So I'm going to use the one named pic because it's the one that has that blue that I want to use as a background image. Now I'm going to save this. Oh, but before I show you how this looks like, let's go ahead and let's see this empty first, all white. Okay, so there's no styling at all. So now let's go ahead and let's reapply what I wrote before, and let's hit refresh. Boom. So you see here, this is what I was talking about before, that everything repeats, like the image repeats over and over again. That's why you see those kind of ugly repetitions of the background image that I used, because it was applied to every single element inside of our site. So and also the letters here, all the text, you cannot see it because it's black. We can go ahead and we can change that, and we can put the text color to white. Actually, let's save this and let's refresh. Okay, so now you can see it. It's a little bit better, but again, the image repeats over and over again, and to be quite frankly, it looks terrible. Okay, so what we are going to do right now, because I'm not going to discuss that in this property, is take a look and see what else can we do with images. Okay, so as soon as you input an image, you need to make sure obviously that the image is cute, right, for your site, so that way the letters or all the text that you have inside of your document is readable, right? So now in here, another thing we can do with our background image, if we want, it's to apply different images to different elements. So I applied this background image to the entire, to all the files inside of our site, because that's why I use the asterisk. But what if I only want to apply this for H1 tags? If I do that, I change the selector and I hit save. Now this is only going to be applied to the H1 files. I'm sorry, to the H1 elements. So that's how you use background images. So moving on to the next property, that it's called background repeat. So background repeat, it's used to repeat an image both either horizontally or vertically. So that way some images don't look ugly like before. So how do we use that? Okay, so the property is called background repeat. Okay, if you use repeat and then -x, that means that everything is going to repeat horizontally, and then if you click background repeat -y, then that's going to repeat everything vertically. So let's see. To show you background repeat, what I am going to do first of all is erase everything. That way you can see this better in our body. Okay, I am going to delete everything, and then I'm going to save this. So let's use the other image. Instead of using pic, I am going to use the Looney Tunes image to see if you guys can see it better. So the LT image. Okay, let's hit save to this and let's hit refresh. Okay, so there it is, Looney Tunes. Okay, so now what I want to do is use the background repeat, right? And we're going to copy the entire thing here. And this should repeat the image to the right. So let's hit refresh. Oh, and I'm sorry, I think you guys cannot see this, but I'm going to minimize my screen. So before, if I didn't apply the background repeat to this, it was looking just like this, seeing the entire thing in the entire screen. It was being repeated every single time in the entire page. But now that I am using background repeat, to horizontally, it's only going to be displayed in horizontal view, as you can see. Now the same thing happens if I apply Y, but actually instead of horizontally, it's going to be displayed vertically. So let's hit save and let's hit refresh. And now you see the images will be arranged vertically. So that's what background repeat as a property do for you. Also, another thing that you need to know about the background repeat option is that you can definitely set it so it doesn't repeat at all, and you can only see just like one Looney Tune image instead of several of them. Okay, so you can use background repeat and you just say to the browser, don't repeat the image. So let's do that. So instead of repeat Y, we're going to say no repeat. Okay, we're gonna hit save, and now let's go back to the welcome page. And there you go. Now the image is only one. Okay, now that's another thing you can do. Now the other thing you can do is also arrange the image with a position. But I'm going to be talking a little bit more about positionings and how you can add margins, padding, and all that good stuff later on. But since we're in background and this is a background property, I will give a bit of explanation in how you can use the background position. Okay, so with the background position, you can say pretty much to the browser, I want my image to be in the right hand side of the screen, in the top part of the user screen. So we're going to say that to the browser right now. So we're going to say right top. Okay, and we're going to save this and we're going to hit refresh, and now you see the image is moved to the right top of the page. We can also say left top instead of right, and it'll move the other way around. There you go. You see, the image goes one way to the other. Okay, now that you have seen what background repeat does, and we'll also take a look a little bit about positioning, let's go ahead and let's move to the next property, which is background attachment. So a background attachment property, what it does is that it specifies whether the background image should scroll or it should be fixed in your web browser. So what do I mean with that? Okay, let's say that I am going to add, let's go ahead and let's add a whole bunch of information here like the one I had before, right? I'm going to hit save here, and then I am going to hit save here, and we're going to hit refresh. Okay, yes, of course it has a whole bunch of times the same image, but anyways, In fact, let's just do the following. I'm just going to add a whole bunch of paragraphs only, and I'm going to delete all the H1 tags. So let's do that, and let's hit refresh. Also, another thing that I want to do is remove the asterisk, so that way the image, you're not going to see the image being applied to all the elements. Okay, and in fact, we're going to erase everything here. Okay, let's hit save. We're going to remove all the styling from this website, and I am going to maximize this a little bit so you can see it. In fact, I think that we need a little bit more of paragraphs here, so let's just do that. Okay, so let's just copy this and let's do a whole bunch of them. Okay, I'm just going to do a whole bunch of p tags here. I'm going to save this information and then I'm going to refresh. Okay, that's what I wanted. Just a couple of information that you see at the left hand side of your screen, because now I am going to add the image. So to the body section, you have to specify the background image where it should be fixed. So we're going to add the image in our body section. Okay, so let's go back to our style, and we're going to select the body. The body is going to be our selector. Okay, body, and here is where we are going to use the same properties that we used before, actually, and we're just going to simply select the body this time. Okay, so let's hit save and let's hit refresh. Okay, so now in the body, we have a Looney Tune image in there. Okay, so there are a couple of reasons why you want to use the background attachment property, okay? So we're going to use the body element. And I already have the previous properties that we've used before, right? So what we're going to do is use the there are two things that I want to show you with background attachment. The first one is fix, right? The background attachment specify whether the background image should scroll or be fixed, okay? And if it's going to scroll with the rest of the page, or if it's going to be fixed in the page, and when we scroll it's just going to stay there. That's what this is going to do. Now here we have an example, and on this example we have a couple of things added in the website. If you go ahead and you ask background attachment fix, okay, and you have the position. Now if we scroll, the image is actually fixed. It's fixed in the page, and if we scroll, it will always stay fixed in the page. It's not going to move. Now if we do the other one, which is a background attachment scroll, if we do that, then when we scroll, then the image will remain on top as we scroll, because it's going to be moved. Okay, now let's go ahead and try it in our source code. First thing we're going to do is background attachment, and we're going to use the fixed. Okay, we're going to hit save, and now we're going to go to our page here. We're going to hit refresh, and now when we scroll, the image stays. You see, it doesn't scroll. Now if we go ahead and we use background attached, and then we say scroll, now this time the image, when we hit refresh, is going to scroll as we do. There you go. You see? So that's the reason why we use the background attachment property. And we have only one more property to cover in this tutorial. And that one, let me just close the extra tabs I have open here. And that one is background shorthand. This is actually just a way of writing your code. This is actually just a short way to write your code. That's why the property is called shorthand. So let's say that you want to write all this that we have here. You have a background. Let's go ahead and let's say that you have a background image, right? Then you have background repeat. Then you have a position, and then you have the attachment. So we can go ahead and we can write this code in a short way by using the shorthand. And to use the shorthand property, you just need to set the background property in one declaration, like this example right here, okay? And the property order value should be the following: background color, background image, background repeat, background attachment, and finally the background position. Now it doesn't matter if one of the property values is missing, as long as the other ones are in that order. Okay, so we don't have background color here, but we do have a background image, right? We do have a background repeat, okay? Then we have background attachment, and finally a position. So we have to change the order here for the attachment, because we need to follow that order in order to do the shorthand way. Okay, so we have the background attachment and then the background position. So another way to write this code will be like this. Let me do this for you. Okay, we're going to say body, and what we are going to do now is take a look at the example. So first thing we use in our code, and we're not going to be using the properties. We're going to write this a little bit clean. So it's URL, and then we're going to add the images folder, and we're going to say lt.jpg. Okay, then afterwards, you see there is no comma, so what we're going to do is use a space, and then we're going to say no repeat. Then we're going to use a space, and we're going to say scroll, and then another space, and we're going to say to the right top. Okay, finally, when we've finished, we're going to save this. Oh, but before we're going to erase the previous information, because I want to show you that this is a short and clean version to write this code. We're going to hit save, and now if we go back to our page, nothing should change because the code is the same. It's just shorthand written. So I'm going to hit refresh. So I am missing something here. Actually, you gotta be very careful about this, and we need to make sure that we add the quotes in here, okay? Because else it's not going to read this properly. So I already add them and I hit save. Another thing that I missed here, and that's the reason why this is not working, it's because I didn't include the background property shorthand, okay? So I have to say background, okay? It's just like, you know, I need to make sure that I specify that this is the background and it's going to have the following properties. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit save, and now it should work. So let's hit refresh, and boom, there you go. So this equals to writing this right here, okay? If I remove this and I hit save, the page will remain the same. And if I go the other way around, I remove this portion of the code, hit save, and hit refresh, it will still work. So that's why we use the shorthand property. Okay, I know this video has been a little bit long, but well, I wanted to cover all those properties for you in this CSS background tutorial. I hope it's been helpful, and well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Now, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and as well, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. So that was it for this video, everyone. Remember that you can always ask Asklixi. Put the questions in the comment section below. Bye everyone, see you in the next episode.